Guys, this is your host, Final Man Jebb, here on a special episode of Jebb and Greencast. We got Marcus Blake. He's worked with Sparks and many other groups you'll hear within this podcast, so stay tuned. Let's go. Marcus, how are you?
Good. How are you, Jeremy?
Good. Excited to have you on. Just saw the Sparks Brothers film and had to contact you after I saw you posted about doing the 21 albums in 21 nights, so we'll get into that portion of the show. I definitely want to hear, how that was. But I wanted to ask you about your music career as well first. So I'm going to start off with a question here for you, and that is, what got you into music?
Oh, man. I've been into music or playing music since I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I think like a lot of serious music fans, we were born with music playing in our lives. So I just had to chase that devil's tail in my life.
Any particular artists or bands that come to mind when you started?
Yeah, the Beatles.
Awesome.
It always starts with the Beatles. And you name it, what people classify as classic rock, the Stones. But I've always liked black music too, R&B and soul. Like James Brown is just as important to me as The Who.
I feel like anything that's got
Stevie
a good
Wonder.
beat to it, that it's everything's inspirational. Stevie Wonder is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always great to connect with other like-minded people music-wise too. Like, say you mentioned Sparks.
Yeah.
I was a fan of Sparks before being in a band or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm a newly made fan. I'm one of those. I went to go see the film because a friend of mine recommended me to, and I was instantly hooked because I'm into Zappa, which is still mainstream weird, but not as your, not Sparks level. And I was just like, I'm gonna give this a shot, and I was hooked. I was like, this is it. And I just, Edgar Wright even saw my comment about just the movie, and now I'm on my Sparks journey. I've been posting each and every album. I'm doing 3 a day, or at least trying to. Catching up. Yeah, I'm trying to catch up so I can, at least if I ever got a chance to talk to them, I would know what I'm talking about.
Well, there's a lot to catch up with.
Oh, yes.
That's a good comparison, Zappa.
Yeah.
'Cause he's released so much and it doesn't sound the same.
No.
What I mean? Like Lumpy Gravy is completely different to, Zoot Allure.
Oh, yeah. And just the incredibility of, having the fact that he could make joke music with this insane guitar playing. And I think that kind of goes with Sparks, too, that they have these, kind of this aspect to them where it's, at first ears, it's it's Queen, but it's jokey. But at the same time, it's their own thing, and it's incredibly brilliant.
Yeah.
And I love that.
It's almost disingenuous to call them jokey.
It is.
Zappa
No,
too.
because it's not. It's it's kind of that first glance of how society would call them, But then you sit back and go, this is more than that. This is extreme talent and geniuses. I don't like saying everybody's a genius, but Sparks and Zappa are pretty high up there on my list of geniuses in music. I love that.
And definitely, and the thing that makes them geniuses, it sounds like nothing else.
Yeah, I think that's the incredible part, and it's just, and it's incredible that you got to actually had them on your album, Distorted Hymns, as well. How was working with them on one of your creations like?
Well, that's cool. By that time, I was already in the band, and we were friends for a while, and we're still friends. They're great. I'd like to think of them as friends first, and then musicians
Awesome.
second in my life. So I was making music. I was in a band called Mother Superior, and we had recently broke up. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? And I just started writing songs, and it wasn't intending to be an album. It was just a collection of songs. That's why it goes everywhere style-wise.
Oh,
So
I like that.
So I just asked my friends to participate in the making of the album, and they agreed.
That's so
And
cool.
I gave them 2 songs, and as you know from watching the movie, Russell engineers the Sparks records.
Yeah.
So he took the tracks and worked on it at Sparks' home studio
Oh, it's so cool.
by themselves.
Yeah, collaborations don't work, right?
Collaborations.
Yeah, I love
Exactly.
I love that idea of, and I love their song titles. Every album I'm looking, it's one of those things back in the day, you got excited when you got a record and you could see the artwork and all the stuff. And I can't wait to get their stuff on vinyl, but it's incredibly hard to find. So I'm just gonna go the CD route when I get a chance. But Spotify's great, great for being able to just listen, and get into it. Not great on other aspects, but I love the fact that I can go in there and listen to them. And I love that every song, it's a story. And every time you're listening to, you have the name of the song, and it sounds very basic, but it's the truth. And then the artwork tells the story, especially Propaganda's artwork. I loved in the movie how they even, like, Edgar Wright goes, "What about the opposite way?" So the boat's the last thing. And I was like, that's great.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Sparks record.
That's a great album. So far, mine's Big Beat. Really, because I love power pop. And I got into it, and my friend, and it's funny that, like, I'm listening to all of them. I really like the first record, and I really like Kimono. But this thing is, I'm only like, I just listened to Big Beat, so I don't know if that's like 5 or 6 in, so I still have to keep going. I've heard Balls and stuff like that. They're all great. But it's just, I love to nerd out about music, and I knew I needed something like Sparks to come along, and it would be the perfect timing just to be something to nerd out about. And my friend was like, "You need to go see this." And I was like, all right. Shout out to Owen Radford, who does our thumbnails here at the podcast. He's the one that told me to go see it. And now we're talking to Marcus Blake.
Well, it's an honor.
Oh, pleasure to have you. And what was the first artist you collabed with? You mentioned, we have Sparks, and I saw that you had Lisa Ronson on this album as well, but was there any artists before then?
Well, we were, as Mother Superior, we collaborated with a bunch of different people. We collaborated with Rollins band, with Henry Rollins to make Mark II of Rollins band.
Oh, wow.
So we did that, and I got him on the record. I think he might have been the first. And then through the Sparks connection, there's Jason Schwartzman, who's also in the movie. So I asked him to play cowbell on the song.
That's awesome.
He doesn't mean cowbell.
There you go.
And Daniel Lanois, Mother Superior backed up him for a while.
Very cool.
And and so I asked, no, he's not on the record, is he? It's so long ago.
Yeah,
I'm making 2014, a new record,
right?
so.
I can't wait. I was going to ask about that as well towards, a little later. But I'm very excited to hear about that. I think it's cool that, like, people can stumble across your stuff because of your collaboration with the Sparks now. If people like myself that are digging deeper and deeper.
Oh, cool.
And I found your album on their collab list. And then it was about the same time that I talked to you. That's how I saw it on they have a thing where it says collaborations do work, and it was a playlist on Spotify, and I saw stuff in there, and I think your albums, the songs are in there. If I'm not mistaken, it's on that one, or it's on, like, they're featured on. And I saw that, and I was like, that's really cool. And that's when I asked you after I saw the movie, because it was funny. I think Facebook knows too much. But, like, I saw the movie. I've been posting about seeing the movie, and then I see your post come up in my timeline. And it says, I played bass for the 21 albums and 21 nights. And I was just like, I got to ask somebody about that. Like, I'm going to go right into it. How tiring was that?
That was, I can't even describe it. You didn't want to think about it too much. You just delved in and did it. We were doing a Mother Superior tour of Europe when we got the offer. So while we were traveling through Europe in one of those get in the van kind of tours in Europe, I was listening on my headphones to Sparks music. And then we did 4 months of rehearsal when we got back to LA with Steve Nister on drums, my guitar player, Mother Superior. And then Steve McDonald from Red Cross did half of the shows. And then the other half he couldn't do. So I was on rhythm guitar. And then I joined on bass for the other half. I think around the time of introducing Sparks on those records.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was cool bass is my main instrument. So it was cool to play rhythm guitar and learn those songs. But the crazy part was once we finished all that miraculously, we had to do a festival in, like, Lithuania.
Wait, after this? After the 21 albums.
Yeah,
that. Boy.
Right.
They didn't talk about that in the movie.
And then
Shoot.
Yeah, get this. Yeah. And then Steve McDonald couldn't do that festival. So I had to learn some of those songs that I never learned on bass after learning all those songs.
I think, are they still ingrained in your? Are they still like, brained in your brain or whatever? Imprinted? Can you pick them
Still
up?
dream about them.
Yeah, right. Still, it's like that's crazy.
No, the thing is, like I said, we were fans before
Yeah.
joining the band anyway, so it wasn't like coming in cold.
Yeah. So you kind of you knew the songs, and
I knew
you could feel them. You knew them. Yeah, and that's a great album too. It's just something.
Still though, it's like
I can't remember the songs I write. And I'm like 21 albums, and 21 nights. And then I remember in the film it was mentioning too, like I think it was either Russ or Ron that were saying that when they you do the first album, right? And you guys moved on to the second album, it was like you kind of needed to remember the first one still, and it was like, shoot, how do it's like that's a lot. Oh wow.
Yeah. And it's not like 3-chord Louie stuff.
No.
Especially Propaganda and Indiscreet. Those are crazy, like stop start and all this craziness and a bazillion chords and what have you. But we did it, and the thing was, we tackle each album, we did it live, and we did a B-side as the encore each night. Right?
Very cool.
And then the band had a flat, kind of like, we're the Monkees, we're all sharing a flat, and while we did the 21 shows in London. And as soon as the show ended, I went back to the flat and studied for the next night's show.
I still feel like something Zappa would
Sometimes
do.
he just had to go to the pub.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. This was it. But I feel like that's something like, I don't even know if Zappa did anything crazy like that. I'm trying to look through his stuff, and I'm just like, I have a strong feeling he would have loved, and if not already made it clear, he loved Sparks because the similar, energy, and he loved all like the GTOs and stuff like that. I feel like he would have been into them if he wasn't, already. It's something I might ask his sister about. I'm friends with Patrice. Maybe she knows. Maybe she's into Sparks.
That's something I never thought about.
Yeah.
Zappa was into Sparks.
Wow. He would never answer you straight,
know,
though.
Please.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Patrice, but he would have never have answered you straight either. He would have been like,
"That's true.
Who are those people?" And then play one of their songs, like he did for Whipping Post with the Allman Brothers and all that stuff. But it's just a journey. They're definitely.
Well, at least Zappa read music.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to read music.
I don't either. I'm still making it though. Music theory was tough.
However way it comes out.
Yeah, that's what I believe. And that's why I think I have a big inspiration in Sparks, is that it's so complex sounding, but at the same time, it's just really fun. Uh-huh. Like, it's something that, like they said, the best band that you'll never know, which is like kind of like the Big Star thing. And it's just, to me, it was like, it is true that they were successful, but they were under everybody's noses. You didn't even know who they were. And I didn't, and I should have. They would have been the first thing I was into. Now I'm trying to get my dad into them, and he's like, and I'm like, you don't understand, because he loves Zappa. So it was like, I thought I could, and I think Big Beat he might like, because to me it sounds like Cheap Trick is backing him, kind of thing. So it's got like a Cheap Trick style, and
like a year before Cheap Trick.
Yeah. Well, that's what they kept saying in the movie.
A whole other...
But yeah,
and there's a whole other thing about Ron Mayall's lyrics too, which are completely genius.
It's incredible.
That they touched on in the movie.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's like, he's writing songs as this like actual wholesome, depressed kind of mindset, and it's coming out of the happy boy. It's coming out of the opposite, the whole complete opposite. But I love that their relationship as brothers is just so close. And I love it in the movie, too, in the beginning, that, I don't want to spoil for anybody, high spoilers. This is a podcast that mentions the movie. I will put this in the title. But this is, go out and see it, definitely. That's the first thing. But secondly, I love when they said, like, how are you guys, how'd you guys meet each other? We are brothers. That was great. And I like the fanfare, too.
And what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. They are like that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's incredible.
Great people, down to earth.
That's incredible. Yeah, I cannot wait for Annette. I'm really excited. That's why I'm trying to. So I'm gonna do like the everyday, cool. 3 albums, and then like skip ahead to their newer stuff. So at least I'm caught up on the new album that just came out, and then go back to the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. But I got to hear Little Beethoven still, and that's one of the ones I really am down to hear soon. Mm-hmm. So I might have to skip ahead even sooner because I want to hear that. Yeah. In my opinion, that's like part 3 of their story. Okay,
it's a peak.
Yeah,
for
that's why
sure.
I'm going in order. I would really like to go in order, because then you get the real feeling of each album, and each like the
Hmm.
progression. And it's fun. I mean, it's like binge
Hmm.
watching a show. You know, shows usually came out like sitcoms, once a week. But here I can binge watch 7 episodes in the same day. But like with the music, I want to take like 3 albums a day is a lot. I kind of want to breathe in a little bit, so I might take a break just so I don't you want every album to hit you the same as the first one that you're listening to, and it's just so cool. And I'm
Yeah,
making a. Mhm.
and they take time to digest as
Yeah.
well. It's not easy to just
No.
get all of a sudden.
No, and I noticed that too because like I listened to the first album, I'm like, okay, and then I was like, and then I went back into the second day. I'm like, okay, I really like this. I'm like, it hits you. But then I bet you the fourth and fifth time you listen to it, it's like even more. It's like, oh, you get something different.
Yeah,
And I felt that with Zappa too. That's why I like
definitely.
to relate the two. I don't hear the same guitar every
Yeah,
time I listen to Zappa. Sometimes, same with King Crimson too. I pick up different parts every time I
yeah.
listen to them because it's just you
I
don't.
think that's the sign of good music
I think
in
so too.
general.
More than your 3 chord, pop song, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's still, people writing,
Yeah.
and I love that stuff too. I mean, I write that stuff too, but I love the parts where you're
Hmm.
putting like 6 guitar parts in and panning them. I don't know, but it's just like all that fun stuff in the studio, and it's just been incredible. But and you mentioned like working with other people and collabs, and we have a new album coming out on our end of the spectrum of the Jebb side of things, and we're working
Oh,
with people
cool.
we never thought we could work with. Brendan O'Hare of Teenage Fan Club, stuff like that, just by just talking with
Nice.
them. And I see them as friends too. It's incredible. I'm friends with the Posies. Those are great guys. They're the reason why we started this podcast.
Cool.
Should really just call this the Posies cast, but at some point. But yeah, we just
See, I'm not that hip to them, so I'd like
yeah.
to learn more about them.
Yeah, I could definitely share you some
Yeah.
stuff. They're really cool. I'll send you the episode we did with them. You'll get a real nice preview. Their stuff. They were in Big Star for a little bit too. The later Big Star. They're
Oh,
really
okay.
good. The
Excellent.
Teenage Fan Club I love too. So just as much. And then Jellyfish stuff like that. So I'm all into like the bands that nobody knows. That I'm over here like these are the best bands you're ever gonna hear.
Well, the people that do know are
Yeah.
way into it, though.
Oh well,
That's the thing.
that's what I like. The same with Sparks too. I think Sparks under that you like them or you don't. There's no
Yeah,
like in between, and I love knowing people that like them because now you made a friend, you made somebody you could talk to, and I
exactly.
love that. And
Well put.
that's why I'm tempted to start a Sparks cast. I'm really really tempted to. You've heard it here, folks. It might actually happen. My buddy and I have been talking about it.
Do it.
We'll invite you on a couple times, definitely, if we do. So moving on though, what was it like working with
Yeah.
Lisa Ronson? Very interested in that as well.
Well, I'm a huge Bowie fan,
Mhm.
and I don't know. Well, okay. Let me preface
Mhm.
it by saying that being a huge Bowie fan, I contacted Tony Visconti, who produced a lot of classic Bowie records, up until the last stuff,
Mhm.
and we collaborated together on a Mother Superior song. He added a
Ooh.
string quartet to one of our songs,
He also works with Sparks,
and
right?
we remained friends. That what? Sorry.
Was Tony with Sparks too, right? Was Conti there?
He produced Indiscreet,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
he later worked, yeah, with them.
That's awesome.
Um, in fact, that's how I met Sparks. Tony, Tony Visconti had a birthday party he had in L.A., and he invited me, and Sparks were there. Ron and Russell were there, so I actually met Sparks at Tony Visconti's birthday party.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very cool. Wow.
Yeah. So through that, and just that's the secret. You were just saying, like, reach out to people. Who
Yeah.
knows? They might collaborate. They might not. The worst they can do is say no.
That's how I do these podcasts. I reached out to you. That was the first thought. Most people are like, God, I wouldn't talk to him. And most musicians, if they're cool, and if they're not cool too, some of them are like, yeah, we'll do it. It doesn't matter. It's just you have to put your foot forward. Yeah, definitely.
I like talking about music, so
So
I'm
do
in.
I.
So anyway, I reached out to Lisa Ronson,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
she's a sweetheart, and we got to be friends. And at that time, she lived in Brooklyn, and I did it old school style. I flew out to New York, and we booked a studio. I already had the
Oh,
track done, the music track, and we did the vocal like facing a microphone, her on one side, me on the other, like Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. Let's
or
do
even
it.
Elton
And we
John
did
and
it.
what's
It was great.
his first second wife there? I forget.
Kiki D, yeah.
Yeah, Kiki. That's what I'm thinking. I just saw that movie, recently too. So I was like, thinking that too.
And yeah, there's a certain kind of thing of recording vocals that way live. You feed off of each other.
Oh yeah, it's
So
it's one thing to collab,
that's great.
sending the files back and forth, and it's another
Yeah.
to just be there and present and being part of the same energy. I love that.
Hmm. I with the Sparks thing, the two songs they did on my record, I did send them the
Hmm.
tracks for them to work on because they're their own unit. Just
Yeah,
let them do their thing, and they did it. I wanted one of the songs is called Abracadabra,
yeah,
and it reminded me of like kind of Kinks, and I knew Ron and Russell were into the Kinks '60s stuff too, but I wanted like the Kinks meet the Addams Family kind of sound. So we had like Ron play kind of a harpsichord sounding thing, and it's about two grave diggers in competition who can be the top grave diggers, like black comedy.
I love that. That is awesome.
So so thank you, Ron, for that inspiration lyric wise.
I was gonna say Ron would have written that anyway. Some would have been one of their things.
Exactly.
That's perfect. As I and I notice when you're like look up to somebody or you're into somebody's music and you go to work with them and stuff, you kind of write in their style. Like that's what I've done in my experience. Personally, like when I started working with the Posies, I wrote a song that could have been theirs. And I noticed when they started doing it, and I was like, oh my god, I just wrote a Posey song. Like, and it's not their song, of course. It's and they but it's just that fact that when you get to work with them and you have more people brings more stuff to the table, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, you can write a love song, but why not write something unique and
Yeah.
different, and maybe a sense of humor about it. Like I have a new song on my next record. It's called Super Action Kung Fu Grip. Okay, why not?
That's awesome. What is the process for that album? When do we see a release date on that? Is that soon or?
It's being mixed right now.
Oh, very cool.
So
Very cool. Very excited to hear
and this
that.
one's more. Yeah, I'm working with a guy named Ron Bonfilio, and he's a musical genius, and my brother's on drums, and so it's just the three of us, more self-contained, rather than all these collaborations.
Yeah,
it's
just
more cohesive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we're called the Gemini Thieves.
Gemini Thieves. Well, keep me posted on all that. We'll post all your links down below and anywhere where anybody can see anything. We use their eyes in the computer, and then we'll keep that all posted, and we'll post stuff about you on our page. Very exciting news that the audience is first to hear this as well. We will actually be doing some portions of the podcast on a radio show that I just got accepted for a radio station. So I'll be hosting an actual spinning music and stuff as well. So if you want any of your tracks, you could send me some of your stuff. I'll put it on the show as well. So we'll get it out to the world. I will. I'm actually planning to get the first show started soon. I gotta start putting songs aside. And the funny thing with music, you can't let shows sit. I've noticed this. I had 2 shows that had chock full of songs, but my mind's in another place now, and it's like I gotta redo this whole set list because I just want to do newer stuff. I want newer music and mixed in with some of the greats. But I'm definitely gonna be doing more Sparks for the first episode if I'm able to. I have to talk to the network, of course. But I would love to be able to, if it's my own show, that's definitely happening. I'll be throwing a couple of Sparks songs in there. Try to maybe make some more people into them and tell people to go see the movie. And I think Edgar Wright is one of the coolest directors. Big fan of him. I've been a big fan of him since Scott Pilgrim coming out. And that's one of my favorite movies. Yeah. And it's funny that he's been a big Sparks fan, but you never hear any Sparks music in his films. And I've noticed that because I don't know if they would.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
I've always wondered that. I don't know if it's maybe, I don't know. I would love to ask him. Edgar Wright, if you want to come on my podcast sometime, just talk. I would love to ask you because it's just something. Noticed that I know that they had Smashing Pumpkins references with Scott Pilgrim with T-shirts and stuff like that, which is always cool. But it's just cool that it's because different directions and stuff. But this documentary was very good, and I love the the little things like when Beck was talking and it just said "read above" underneath his credits. And for Duran Duran, it had Duran on the one guy, Duran on the other. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
It's stupid little stuff
he's
like that.
Definitely unique.
Awesome. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And, and it brought a nice light on them.
Definitely, and they deserve it. I'm so happy for Ron and Russell.
And they seem like the nicest guy. I would love to talk to them at some point.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, right. But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, that's all.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was cutting you off. So I apologize. So there's a little bit of a delay. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm just gonna talk when you talk. Ready, go.
all right. That's exactly how I was taught how to talk to people. No. Well, we're definitely. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. We'll keep short one. I did want to ask one more question for you. What was the inspiration behind the artwork on the album? I really do like the on Distorted Hymns.
I'm a huge Art Deco fan. And I wanted to make it look like a hymn book, the kind you see in church, but you definitely won't find in church.
Yeah.
Not with the song, not with songs like the drinking song on it.
Yeah, my favorite song on that album is definitely, I really like Invisible. That's the one I think I messaged you right away. I was like, this is it. I get very good. And they're all good. It's a fantastic album. Highly recommend anybody that's listening in here now. Quality album. I will be shouting this one out multiple times.
Thank you. And Rachel Gutek, she helped design some Sparks album covers. She did that album cover as well.
That's more of the Sparks lore.
She does excellent work, folks.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a hidden one, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, if she's ever looking to do any more work, let me know. I'll be interested in asking her if she could do album cover work.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Always interested. I love meeting anybody that likes to talk music, and that's why I've started this podcast. I started doing this, my buddy Tyler and I started this. It was the dream of just having people to talk music with. And then it became, we're just going to ask everybody and anybody. And then we dialed it down a little bit. And then we kind of came up with our golden rule. You have to have one recording, just to come talk. But we just love talking music. And I think anybody has a story and can inspire anybody. It's the best way to do it. And we've had some incredible guests from everybody all over. And I just love it.
And congratulations about getting that gig with the radio station.
I'm excited. I'm hoping they did text me this morning that they're just waiting on a couple things to give me a schedule, and I was like, whew, having a schedule is crazy because I feel like I need it for the podcast stuff, because like sometimes it's not that I don't get excited for what I do, it's like if I don't have like a set thing in stone or a routine to like I have to have a radio show out by this exact date, or I'm not, I'm letting people down because I need to do it. It's like when I'm on my own and everything's on me, it's like, oh shoot, I feel like the weeks go by and I don't have a show out, and we have listeners and I feel bad for you guys. You put up with us. But so excited to be here.
Hello, listeners.
Hello.
Yeah, like the thing with I also wrote for a music magazine in Spain. For some reason, my old band Mother Superior was most popular in Spain, and I got to be friends with a big music magazine called Popular One there. So I'd interview people with the magazine, and that was a great opportunity. I might start that up again myself too.
Hey, I'm down if you want to ask me about my creations at some point. That'd be cool. And I would love to have you as a co-host at some point. I want to start doing some guest co-hosting, so I might be reaching out to you to maybe interview an artist with me, and you and I could team up on questions and stuff. But I'll have to look through my catalog of folks, and I like to do roundtable discussions of bands as well. We started a band chat, so what we do is, you don't want to have too many people, because too many people on a voice thing is like, ooh. So we kind of do, I think we did 2, so it was like 4 total. So we had like, we did a Fountains of Wayne band chat, I believe, was the last one we did. And then we did a Big Star one with the Posies guys, because since they were in Big Star. But I want to do another one. I definitely want to do Sparks. So if you're interested in that one, I'll see if I can get another big Sparks fan on, and we can just go ham on a couple albums, our favorite songs, stuff like that. I just want to wait till I'm done listening to all their stuff and caught up.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Yeah, I don't want to come in and be like, I really like that album. What when's that again? What year was that?
Well, the thing is, they have so many good B-sides.
It's incredible. It's so much that it's like I gotta step back and go, all right, like 3. I'm limiting myself to 3 a day so I can just enjoy it more, because I would just sit here and go through it. But like you said, it's not just an easy listen and then you're done. It's an easy listen at first, but then you kind of want to go back and listen again and again and again. I mean,
well, now you know how I felt with a 21 by 21 show.
Oh boy, I mean, just even the sheer. I was just thinking to myself, like I was tired doing 2 hours at a festival recently, playing a 2-hour show outside. And I'm just going like, And then I heard that, and I was like, okay, I have nothing to complain about. And that's not just the two
But
guys. This is a band having to learn it, make sure they're in time, everything. And it's not just, it's everybody's a unit. It's even more exhausting.
yeah,
That's awesome, though.
well, they're all ace players, and we all got along great.
That's perfect.
Friends first in a band. That's so
Yeah.
important to me.
You don't hear that a lot now. You hear a lot of like, oh, they're my guitarist, or everybody says my. It's like they're people, and it's everybody's a unit. And when
That's
we
true.
started Jebb, and for those that don't know my music project, we started Jebb as it's my name, my nickname, but it's actually a unit of a bunch of people that make up. I'm just the front man, I'm just the guy that appears there, right? And I write most of the songs. And then my friend writes some as well, and we get into it, and it's like, but it's not just me. It's everybody that's involved. It's the artist that does the artwork. It's the liner notes. It's the story.
It is for sure. And it was always one of my fascinations growing up, looking at the label, who produced it, who did the art direction,
I don't know.
And that's how you learn to get the whole story of the album, I think.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people like that anymore because we have such a digital, and I love the fact that, and again, I'm listening to the Sparks on Spotify, so it's funny that I say this, but like, I would so much prefer if they weren't so expensive to get a hold of every single CD and vinyl, because I'd be in such a more of a story. But since the movie came out, they went up in price again. So it was like, oh shoot,
really?
Yeah. My buddy was telling me, because he was like, I've been looking for ages, and now they just went up even more. He goes, I love the movie, but I don't know anymore. And I'm like, but it's just, I love that.
Yeah, well, I think they re-released, the Island stuff recently.
Okay. That's good to know. I'll have to check that out, because
So
I know
if you're not a stickler for like first pressing,
I mean, I am
records.
like I have most of my Beatles, like the mono presses, and I'm a stickler for all that stuff. And it's like, but for them, it's like I really just want the music at the moment, and then over time, I could try to get first presses and stuff just to be cool, but just to be cool, be like the cool kids.
Hey, anybody that listens to Sparks is cool in my book.
Oh, thank you. And again, I'm a new fan, but I was again instantly hooked, and I think that's what they, and I love that they said that in the movie too about them, is that they don't care if you knew them from the beginning, they care that you're coming on the journey now, and I thought that was so cool, and that made me feel really good to like, yeah, I'm gonna go listen to all your stuff now, so I'm not the guy that's just coming on the journey now. I know everything, no, but it was just cool to hear that as the music is, it's for everybody that chooses to want it, and it's just so cool.
Yeah, definitely couldn't said it better myself.